This is my how-to guide on building a budget camper. For this build, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a small light camper that can be pulled with any car or SUV. My budget is $1,000 for this build. It needs to fit one person comfortably. I would like it to fit a twin-size mattress. Would like it to have a small size kitchen area with a countertop. I also need storage for blankets, folding chairs, cooler, stove, camping gear, maybe my kayak or bike, something like that. Chapter 1: Doing Research. One of the first things I do when I build a camper is I go online and look at other campers. I go on Google, I go on Facebook groups. Facebook groups are really helpful. There's a lot of experienced people on building campers. Just be careful on Facebook groups about people trying to talk you into spending more money, going wildly over your budget, because it happens. I've had experiences where I posted stuff and it's just people try to say, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to spend more money. Your $1,000 budget turns into $5,000. Just be careful when it comes to stuff like that. There was this one guy that always commented on my builds saying, you can't use a Harbor Freight trailer, it's junk. You can't use this material, it's junk. You gotta spend more money, do this, do that. I look at his pictures and he's building his camper in an airplane hangar. He's building it with a $100,000 CNC machine. I wish I had the money to do that, but I don't. I'm on a budget. I don't have a unlimited budget with an airplane hangar and a CNC machine. He might be right if you had unlimited money, but just try not to pay attention to those types of people. Chapter 2: Buying a trailer. So this is one of the most important parts, to find a trailer you're going to use to build your camper. There are a lot of different options. You can buy one used on Facebook Marketplace, get one really cheap. One camper I got for free on Marketplace with boat trailer. They just wanted to get rid of it. Just be careful with used trailers because it's hard to get a title for some, especially in my state. If there's no paperwork or VIN number or anything, it's very hard to get a title, get plates. You might not care about this. You can use a plate from another trailer you have, but if you go to sell it at any time, it becomes an issue. So just be careful, just know your state and know what you can do if you're going to go get the used trailers on Facebook Marketplace. You can go to Harbor Freight, get one as low as $400. You can go to Home Depot, spend a couple $1,000s on a trailer. It's all about your budget and what you're going to use it for. So there's a lot of different things you can do. So just do your research and try to find the right trailer to start your build. The trailer I chose for this build is the Harbor Freight trailer, the 40 by 48 inch utility trailer. So I wanted the smallest trailer I could find, the cheapest trailer I could find, and the only trouble about this is trying to figure out how to put a twin size 6-foot mattress in a camper that's only 48 inches long. So that's going to be the challenge right there. You got to get a little creative to do this. But I've seen a couple builds where they did something similar on this trailer. So this is the trailer I chose for this particular build. Here's the thing about Harbor Freight trailers that you have to realize that they only have a rating of like 1,000 or 1,100 pounds, this one, and they're only rated to go 50, 55 miles an hour. So if you're gonna build a heavy camper and you want to travel on the interstate doing 80 miles an hour and go 3,000 miles across the country, a Harbor Freight trailer is not the trailer to choose. I go camping 50 miles, 100 miles from my house. I go for a weekend. I take the back roads. I rarely do more than 50, 55 miles an hour. 60 if I have to for certain areas, but I try to stay off the interstates. Um, that's where the guy is right. The airplane hangar guy is right. If you're gonna, travel across the country on the interstate, you don't want to use a Harbor Freight trailer. You want to, spend $1,000, $1,500, buy a heavy duty trailer that can haul a lot of weight and go interstate speeds. So just be mindful what you're trying to do with your camper. If you look on the Harbor Freight website itself, you'll look at the pictures from customers. You can get some kind of ideas. There are some campers that people built off this trailer. The first one I really like. This is the one I'm gonna use for my design, but there are a couple others that people build a motorcycle trailer, or they build a 6-foot box on the 4-foot trailer. You can do that as well, but there's different options. But this first one I like, and I'm gonna go with the first option for the pull-out kitchen. It's like a pull-out countertop, and I'm gonna change a couple things to it, but this is the pretty much the basic design I'm gonna go for. Chapter 3: Picking a design for your camper. The first thing I do is I go on Google, I go on Facebook, I take pictures of builds I like and things I like about the builds, like certain parts, certain colors, certain styles, and I throw them all in a big folder. So that's what I did here. I just grabbed pics off Google and Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. So here's the first one. I like how it's compact. I mean, it's probably more than 4 or 5 feet what we're working with, but the front pulls out. The only problem I have with this build is how do you open it with it closed? It looked like it would be obstructed somehow with it the pull out closed. So you wouldn't be able to open the door, you wouldn't be able to put storage in. So that's the only thing I don't like about this. Maybe you can put the door in the back, or um, not have a kitchen, but I wanted like a cargo kitchen area, so that's what I don't like about this particular build. So here are some other designs I chose, different things I found on Facebook and Google. So here's the first one. It's built on the same trailer as us, but it's just a really tall box with a door. I don't know how you'd be able to sleep in it. It looks way smaller than 6 foot, but it's something different. This is the one I chose. This is the one with the pull out in the back. There's a couple different things that I'm going to do to it. I'm going to put a cargo hatch up top. The front area, I'm going to take out the curve at the top. I'm going to make it straight, like a straight corner. I don't want to lose the headroom. This thing's really small, and I really don't want to lose the headroom down here. So I don't think the aerodynamics is going to make too much of a difference on a camper this small. So I'm just going to take out that rounded corner. I'm just going to put a cargo rack in the back. I'm going to make it a little shorter so I can put roof racks on the top. So this is pretty much the design I wanted to make. This one, it looks like they just built a 6-foot box on a 4-foot frame. They put a box underneath. They don't have a cargo area. It's just a 6-foot box that overhangs a little on both sides, and then there's a door in the back. I do like this design, but there's no like kitchen or storage area, so that part I don't like about this particular build. But the inside is much nicer. See, the inside has like TVs and good design. I don't need all the electronics and the lights and stuff, but I like the really design of it, the colors. Um, this one it's this same kind of thing. It pulls out in the front. It's like a teardrop that pulls out in the front. This is really cool, but I don't know if it would work. It's like a motorcycle trailer. It expands out, but like you would have to put a tarp or you have to make some kind of like cover. It's a little too small, but it's a really cool idea. If you can make sides and door and like that folds out, but I don't know exactly how you do that. But it is like a cool little camper. So this one is somebody took a trailer like ours. They built a box and like a kind of like a frame, and then put a rooftop tent. It's simple if you want to spend the money for a rooftop tent. You buy the trailer for 400. You can probably get a rooftop tent used for 500-600 on Marketplace, and you're pretty much ready to go. You can just build a quick frame or some kind of storage or roof rack or something. It would be an option, maybe it's just a wooden storage box and put the tent on top. But this is one of the options. They sell several different types of rooftop tents. Like here's one that's pulled out. It just looks like some kind of wooden frame, and then has like supports and stuff. It looks like the exact trailer that we're going to use. So it's a possibility if you don't want to do a lot of building, but you still want something small. Building the frame. So before I built the frame, I assembled the trailer and I modified the trailer. I extended the tongue about a foot. So I just moved this piece up about a foot. I put, let's see, go to the next picture. I put strut channel all the way through the tongue, just as a little bit of support. I'm gonna extend the frame in the front by about 10 inches. So I wanted to do that, but I wanted the tongue to be long enough for a cargo rack. So that's why I extended it out. Next, I assembled the floor. So all I did is I built a wood frame over here about 10 inches to extend the trailer out. So now the trailer is almost 5 foot. I built a cargo box here below the plywood, just about 4 inches. I didn't want it to interfere with the actual axle, so I just made it real shallow, just enough for sheets and blankets. Screwed it in to the metal frame. I put supports, so I used a 1/2 inch plywood, which should be good for, nobody's gonna stand on it or anything. Okay, the next step, I framed out the walls. So I used 2x2s, and then I used a 1/4 inch plywood on the front and the inside. So all There's I did many different ways to do this. Some people I see don't even use a frame. They use 3/4 inch and maybe just frame out the top and sides and here the front below the plywood, just about they don't 4 inches. Do this wall and they don't do this wall. They just do 3/4 or. So I just there's some people that will cut out a frame of 3/4. Let's see if we can check some of these out. See, here are some other examples of how they do it. They just use real thin wood or just cut it out of plywood, like this. How they just cut it out and then they stick the inside and the outside to that frame they made. Here's doesn't even look like they framed the sides at all. It just looks like they put 1x's across the top, back, and front. So you could do that. There's many different ways to do it. I just chose to do it that way with the 2x2s, and then I will go to the next picture. I just framed it out, and then I just put insulation. I put insulation on the floor, the roof, and then I went to cut out the door. So it's just very simple. I'm just building a box. Okay, when it comes to doors and windows, there's several different things you can do. You can buy a RV door, which they can get a little expensive. This is around the going price of a regular like teardrop camper door with a window, $369, free shipping. There are ones $299, free shipping. There are several different options. I chose to use a cargo door that I purchased used on eBay. You can also, if you really wanted to, make your own door. Something like this, or there's a couple other ones where they just make it out of wood. I chose not to do that. I find that it's warping is an issue, sealing is an issue. I just see it as some kind of a hassle to do. It's definitely doable, but I rather just buy some kind of door or make something out of a cargo door. Let's look at this. See, these are right here, cargo door. So I used a cargo door of 21 by 30 inch, and I added my own door handle to it. I put a window in. So you can buy these a lot cheaper. I believe this guy is in Michigan, and he's really good with combining shipping. So if you need the door for this, and then I use one of these doors for the back, like a door this shape but longer for the cargo hatch in the back. So if you buy them from the same guy, I believe I got the pair for less than 100. I think like 30 each, and then I got $30 shipping, so 90, $100. I got the two doors, rather than buying this for $300-400. That's just what I chose to save a little money, and those doors work for me pretty much. So it's just whatever you want to do. And then when it comes to windows, I decided to go with boat windows. Well, RV windows, they get expensive too. Cheapest I've seen them is this one, $82. Size is it 12 by 22. If you just want to do one window, you could do that, and then let's see. But they can get expensive. See, $199, $134. If you want several windows, it can get expensive. But I chose to just do boat windows. I've had these. I actually paid a lot cheaper than this. I always look. A lot of these windows they get returned a lot. So Amazon's really good with selling these used, like the Amazon warehouse. So I believe I paid $17 for this one each, and then I got this one for $27 each. I mean, it looks brand new, but just the packaging is messed up. So the only issue with these is you can only close them from the outside or lock them from the outside, which I'm working on adjusting that and putting like a way to lock it from the inside. The one I put on the door for now, I just screwed it shut just so you couldn't stick your hand in and open the door. But I'm gonna put some kind of latch or some screwing mechanism in here so I can close it from the inside, and then I cut these off, the ones in the door. The other one that I put on the roof, I just left. Let me see if I can find pictures. So there's the one right there on the side. That's the side window. I have one on the roof, and then the other one is, here's the one in the door. So between them, I think I paid about $50-60 for all three windows. Now, in my other campers, instead of putting a window here, I just put a vent, like a vent with a fan, I think. With this camper, I have no electric, and I had this window from another build, so I just put it there. Um, I have no problem with just unclipping it and opening it from the outside if I have to for now. That's not really an issue. But those are different options you can do for your doors or windows. On this build, I want to keep the under $1,000 to build it. So if I gotta spend $100 each window and I gotta spend $400 on a door, a lot of people put doors on each side. So if you bought a $400 door on each side, that's $800. So I did 2 doors on my last couple builds, but I see it as no point. I just put a window on the other side. I only use it for one person, so I'm fine with the one door. So that's pretty much on the doors and the windows. Next, I installed the slide out. So this was for 2 purposes. I wanted a countertop, and I also wanted to be able to fit a mattress that was 6 foot. So I went with a 18-inch full extend slide, which will show they're not that much money. They're $17 a pair. They extend fully out, so that brings me from 5 feet to 6.5. Minus the framing. So I believe it brings me out to exactly 6 foot. So it was very simple. Basically, I just put one on this side, one on that side. You leave an inch gap, and then so basically I built a box that was empty on. There's nothing on the bottom, and there's nothing on this side. So it's just a countertop here, and then the 3 sides of 1/4 inch plywood. Let's see if I can get a better picture. So that's basically what it is. The floor is not in yet. That I did a little later on, which basically all I did was I used piano hinges and I folded it up like this. So it's one piece of plywood, there's another piece of plywood in the back, and I used 6 piano hinges that were a foot each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6 in the back. So once you pull this out, it flattens out. So it only sticks up about a half inch off the floor, which after the mattress, I tested it a couple times. I don't feel it at all. These doors, the cargo doors I had, if I didn't have them, I just would have cut out plywood and made it myself. But these, I wind up taking the hardware off, and it only sticks about a 1/4 inch up. So sealing the back of the camper, that's going to be a major issue for this kind of build. As this pulls out, there's going to be gaps on the sides, there's going to be gaps on the bottom, a little bit on the top. So you have to anticipate that the water is going to try to get in there. So what I did is I made like a drip cap. I turned a corner molding the other way so it kind of sticks out like a drip cap, so it drips over it. So that might get most of the water. I did it down here, I did it up here, I did it up there. But I also over here see like all the gaps you could see through. So I put weather stripping all around this. I put like a rubber flap on top and then weather stripping down here. Now I've had it in the rain like a couple times already and it hasn't leaked. I had it open once during the rain. It didn't leak when it was closed, and it hasn't leaked the one time I had it open. But um, when I do have it open, I have the levels on the side, so I make sure it's leveled slightly down towards the back. So if anything runs, it runs out like towards the back. It doesn't try to run in. But I'm gonna, as if it leaks, I just add some more weather stripping. I try to fix it a little bit. I silicone the bottom of the one by is the seam in the middle to try to stop the water from coming in, and I did all these sides too with silicone. So I try to seal it up. There's still going to be a little bit of air gaps, but that's not really a big deal. Um, it's you'll be very surprised how much this heats up just with your body heat. Even with the 3-inch hole I cut for the vent and these little pockets, you might have a little cracks, but still it'll heat up. It's insulated pretty well, and um, it keeps you dry, keeps you out of wind. In this chapter, we're going to talk about covering your camper or skinning your camper. So there are many different ways to do this. Um, you can use aluminum, you can use fiberglass, you can use a material called Phylon. There's a method called poor man's fiberglass, which basically is they glue canvas, just regular like canvas, to the camper, and then they soak it with paint. So they let a lot of paint soak in many layers. I think the first couple layers they water it down. So that is one method we'll talk about. But there are many different methods. Some people use wood. I've seen people use just regular siding. Um, it's all about your budget, your skill level, the tools you got, um, different factors like that. So first we'll talk about poor man's fiberglass. So I've never done this on camper, but I've tested it a few times and I don't particularly like it. I don't like the texture of it. I don't like um, just the way it looks. It can be cheaper in some cases, but it I don't think it looks nice, and I don't think it lasts long. Like it has trouble with bubbling and around the corners, and the seams look ugly. It always looks better in pictures, but up close it doesn't really look the greatest. I see right here some guy did it, but there's ones where it looks awful. Like some people aren't good at it, and the seams look terrible. And it's not as cheap as the name implies, because poor man's fiberglass, you'd think it'd be really cheap, but you're going to spend a lot of paint to do it. That I'm not sure exactly how much paint, but you're definitely a couple gallons because you're having it soak the into the fabric. So you're doing that layer to build some kind of barrier against the the elements. So you probably spend at least $100 in paint, plus $30 to glue the fabric to the frame, and then what else? You gotta buy the fabric. So you're at least talking for the camper we're building like at least $150 to do this. For $150, there are other methods. You can spend a lot more money and do a lot more money, but there are a lot of other methods as well. Let's go through a couple other methods real quick. So Phylon is a popular RV thing. So it's some kind of like, I've never worked with it, but some kind of like membrane or like composite that rolls on or you glue on or something like that, but it seems very expensive. So I just went on this Rec Pro website. It's a very good website. I've ordered from before, but I figured that I probably need about 15 feet, so it comes in 8-foot sections. So it would be about $434 to do this. And the other thing about this, I think you still would need molding some places where you know, meet the seams. So in the corners or where you had to piece it or something. So you would still have to buy moldings on top of it. So that's an extra cost. So you might, if you want to do aluminum molding, you might spend an extra $100 or something like that. So you're looking at $500 to do pylon. So other methods that I've used in the past is I've used this wallboard. So it's $40 a sheet. I would probably need, 3 or 4 sheets. So I'm talking 150. I kind of like the texture, but some people told me that it might not stand up to the sun for many years. So that's something you got to consider. It's used for like showers and tubs. Next, polystyrene sheets. You could use something like this, but still gonna be several $100s. I've used this before, this kind of PVC board. I've got it, I think paid $45. I did it on the camper. I used it instead of plywood. So it was just, I put it on, I didn't put plywood on the outside, and I just did that. So, but it was still several $100s. A lot of people do the aluminum, but they buy like sheets, like 8 foot by 4 foot sheets, and then don't have to piece it. And then, but I had trouble finding that, and then when I did found it, it was $150 a sheet. So if I need like 3 sheets or something, 4 sheets, so talking 400 between $600 depending on how big your camper is. So another option I went with was the aluminum, but I'm using trim coil. So it's aluminum that they use around doors and windows. So I like it, and then it's pretty easy to work with. I bought a tool off Amazon just to bend like inch pieces. I mean, it'd be great if you had aluminum brake, but they have many different colors. $100 free shipping. The weirder colors are cheaper. So if you want to go with like a blue or like red or something like that, you can get for about $100. And then I bought the moldings. So with the moldings, I went with PVC instead of aluminum. They have PVC there, but PVC and aluminum, but the aluminum was much more expensive. So I'm talking, $15 8 foot section or $20 an 8 foot section for aluminum trim. I just wound up going with the PVC trim, and it was much cheaper, and I just painted it aluminum, and it seems to work. Let's see if we can find it. PVC siding trim. Yeah, like this I used where the seams, because I used 24-inch aluminum, so I had the seam in a couple places. So I used this, I just overlapped, so it wouldn't leak, and I sealed it with some silicone, and then I put this kind of molding. I just painted it all aluminum color, which came out really nice. In some places I painted black, but for $4.99 you can get the corner one too. I don't see it on here, but they had it. This is the thicker one, but they had the thinner one for $4.99. So I wound up paying $50 for moldings. So if you went with aluminum, it would be at least $150. So my total cost of skinning the camper came out to about, I think, $175. Let's see if I go back to find the one I chose. I chose black. So I think I found black for $123, and then $50 for the trim. So I'm at $175, which is not bad. You're almost probably about the same as poor man's fiberglass, and this thing will last longer. And I think personally it looks way better. It almost looks like it was made in a factory and not in a backyard, which poor man's fiberglass kind of looks like that. Some people are really good at it. Some people are horrible at it. That's just one of the options you have on skinning your camper. So on my camper, I used the 24-inch aluminum. So I ran strips here 24 inches, and then I pieced it down here and up here, and I did that throughout. I pieced it a little more than I had to. I thought I was going to run out, so I pieced it in more places than I should have, and I actually had leftovers. So just make sure you um, measure good, and then you piece it less. But see how I did it horizontal like this? You can also do it vertical and maybe save some money on moldings and just use like rivets or like some self-tapping screws or something that looks nice. Um, I see a lot of closed campers. They have strips. I mean, this might be one piece, a lot of it, but you might be able to do, a couple pieces and then just run screws in a, in an order, like a pattern, so it doesn't look bad. That's one other option to do if you're going to use the trim coil. Okay, next we're going to buy a mattress. So what I did is I chose a mattress slightly smaller than a twin. Um, Twin would fit, but what I would have to do is I had to trim it at the end at the pull out, and it would be fairly tight. So I went with a slightly smaller. I found a 31-inch mattress, and I picked a 3-inch. I've used 3-inch memory foam mattress before, and it's fine. You can spend several $100s on a mattress, get a real thick one, but for me, 3 inch is fine. I put a couple sleeping bags over it. It's fine for what I do. Um, there's a 4-inch here, $65. I just looked. I paid 41 for this one. It was on sale, I guess, whenever I bought it. So you just keep an eye out for that. They have many different options of sizes and uh, colors and stuff like that. But I just want something simple and cheap as possible. Something that I could sleep on comfortably. Okay, we're gonna run through a couple other things I bought. This was the next thing I bought: the floor tiles. It was, $10, 20 tiles. There's many different colors to choose from. I chose black marble, but you can choose whatever. It seems fine. I used a little glue to help it stay at the folding floor part, but besides that, it was fine. It's a very cheap method for, cheaper than linoleum or something like that. The vents are very important in a camper this small. You don't realize how small it is and how easy it is to suffocate, so you need a large vent if possible. Um, or you got to keep a window open, something like that. I've seen things where people like suffocate and things like this if you don't properly use ventilation. So this was an option. There's different shapes and sizes. There's vent fans if you want to use electric, but this seems fine. This is what I used to. I made the front rack out of conduit, so this was a pipe bender I had. Um, it's good if you got to make a roof rack or something like that. I just use electrical conduit. It was really cheap. This I used to bend the metal. I used to bend aluminum, just like on the corners, so you can stop the water from coming in. So there were certain corners I had to bend like an inch and then overlap it. So it was fairly cheap. The bending tool works pretty easily. Again, if you can buy if you have aluminum, break or rent one, that would be better too. But this is a cheap solution to that. Um, Next, this roof rack, I had it with a different truck, so I took these parts off and I bought brackets and mounted it to the trailer. So that was my cheap option of a roof rack. So you could buy stuff like this. I mean, roof racks can get expensive, but or you can just make one yourself. This this locking mechanism. So I chose the cargo doors. So with the cargo doors, they don't have like a lock. Some do, but they don't have a way to lock from the inside. They don't have the handle on the inside. So I swapped this out. It does take a little bit of modification to make these fit, but if you're pretty handy, it's not really hard to do. It just takes a little bit of time. What else? The piano hinges. So these are the piano hinges I use for the fold out section of the floor. So I use 6 of them. I put them on either end, and it seems to work very well. You can also buy the 4-foot sections and cut them down from Home Depot, but I found this to be a little cheaper. So I'm looking on YouTube, and I follow this one guy who builds a lot of campers, really good at it, very meticulous, very skilled guy. But I just want to show you as an example of how complicated one of these builds can get if you want. Like Camper Pod Day 71, first wall done. This guy must have hundreds of hours in this thing if he's done Day 71. So my camper took about 40 hours, so I did it over 2 or 3 weekends. Um, so you just gotta realize that this could be like an endless pit. Like this guy's probably spent 5 or 10 grand building this thing. I mean, he's an excellent builder, but it, you can see he's up to day 74. So it just every day he's just working on it, working on it. Like that's how complicated one of these builds could be if you want to start running electric and heat and air conditioning and water heaters, and my first build I must have spent 160 hours on, 4 times what I spent on this build. So I just wanted to show you to be wary of what you can get yourself into just by keep going. Just realize that you might not need this stuff. That's why I sold my first camper. I didn't need the kitchen. I didn't need all this microwaves and TVs and water heaters. So I just wanted something simple. I didn't use that stuff, so I just wanted to show you this and how different people do different builds. So that was my guide on building a simple camper. Any questions, you can always reach out to me on my Instagram. I'll have the link posted on the bottom of the page.